dropping jewels every day. Block talk, this is the block talk. Metaphysical, we deal with the spiritual. Block talk, this is the block talk. Alim, El-Bey, dropping jewels every day. Block talk, this is the block talk. Metaphysical, we deal with the spiritual. So you claim to be a god?
Damn right I'm a god. The maker, the owner, cream of the planet Earth, father, civilization, god of the universe. Wow, I didn't know that. 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 So tune in or lose, friend. All strategies apply mathematically. The information he drop is real powerful. So get your notepad, it's more than an hour full. Watch your jaw, the crew is watching talk. Indigenous to the land wherever we stand. First world order, we bringing it home in the first quarter. Invisible lines don't apply, we cross borders. Silly rabbit, knowledge for gods. No matter where you reside, lodge, temple, or mosque. So don't fret or proceed with hesitation. Just tune in to Blog Talk to get the information. Peace. Whether you suffer from pain in your back to aches in your knees, come on down and purchase you some Ancestral tea to get rid of all the parasites, toxins, and fleas. Spiritual elevation for cosmic gravitation. So put away the patience, cause there's no time to be wasted. Ancestral tea, that's all you need. Ancestral tea, so you better believe. Commercial advertisement for AncestralTees.com. All rights are reserved. Peace.
I don't need to be a dope boy, my poetry is dope enough. Trapping interstellar while my third eye open up. See through all the lies that y'all telling with a straight face. Return of the luminous ones. Y'all better make way to find a chapter. Find a collapse on all you politicians. They politicking how to lead a world, no pot to piss in. The way I think is more deep and in the Grand Canyon. I guarantee this black man would be the man standing. My premonition matched the Olmec calendar. It's always accurate like a lightweight challenger. For all you wicked witches and the Wizard of Oz, you and that man behind the curtain, yeah, y'all fixing to fall. Only a matter of time before shit hit the fan. Here's an idiot's guide for you on how to get a man. I don't need a bunch of homers to ride or die with me. I can call on Hey Roo to fly the skies with me. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back my angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to the birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back my angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to his birth. When I'm riding on this city streets, never really miss a beat. To the point of no return, unless I turn another cheek. Catch me on my daily vibe, smooth as I wanna be. Just being me, never chilling with the wannabes. God in the flesh, dated bad sister lectures. Because my history is more than they can understand it. My melanated skin, star brush from the astro. I'm made of dark energy created from black holes. Know thyself, the only one you can lean on. I got some scoopers that y'all can break y'all weed on. Our here's Martin Luther King and slave ships. But what about the underwater cities and spaceships? My mystical mind, we had the government covering. But if the Olmec temple fly away like a mothership, where African people wear the real Anunnaki, wearing feathers on their heads, just a few feet taller than me. Through the transition, and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back my angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to the birth. We going through the transition, and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back my angel time to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returns his birth. Yo, don't look at me the same, I ain't nothing like I used to be. Upgraded daily through the lies and all the foolery. My dream became lucid, I travel back in time, collecting life data for my subconscious mind. That father let me know that anything is possible by pulling down the universe through my crown chakra. Manipulate the energy is all an illusion. Knowing who you are kills all the confusion. While 85% judge off my appearance, I use alchemy to create the world potential. My lyrics turn divas right back into queens. While dope boys will think twice appearing back on the scene. Everybody gone mad, blaming media outlet. The new black Hollywood chosen straight out of projects. Homo agenda war, sucking up to the master. While the whole community going up in disaster. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back my ancient times to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returns to the birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back my ancient times to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returns to his birth.
Back again with your host, Dr. El-Bey. You are here at the First World Order Radio. No doubt. We're going to do it again. Today's episode is going to be on Muhammad Ali, the greatest, the Nation of Islam, and the X-Men Apocalypse Decoded. All right, so we're going to be going in tonight metaphysically and dealing with the occult. So we advise y'all to hold on to your seats because we're going to go there. All right, so let me bring on my co-host, Brother Fahim L, Grand Sheik Professor. And he's the professor, you know, like Professor X. So please say hi to Washington Ish.
Hey, I'll tell you Washington East, Dr. Alim. How you doing?
All right, how you doing, Professor?
Pretty good, brother.
That's good, Grand Sheik. So we're going to get into some information here. We know that you heard about Muhammad Ali passing there. You know, what's your thoughts on what took place, you know, and how you feel about it, you know, and some of the things that you remember about?
Well, I remember about him when he first, when I was 11 years old, I saw at the movie, they had newsreels in the movies back in '64 when I saw how he defeated Sonny Liston.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've been pretty observant of that brother since then. You know,
right?
He's been now I'm 63 years old, so you know I've been following him for a very long time.
Yes, since his beginnings, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you know I was a great admirer of him and everything, and like I said, until he contracted this Parkinson's disease, you know,
mm-hmm.
and plus I thought it came from this boxing experience, you know,
right.
which I still believe some of it did.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard rumors that they were spicing his drinks when he was in the ring, had put some in his drink, you know, to make him that way. All
right.
kind of rumors, you know.
Right. Well, actually, it's not rumors. I mean, this is actually verified that there was doctors who actually came in, Brother L, and was claiming that he had a thyroid problem, and
really?
they would have him to take thyroid pills before a fight. Now, who on earth would do that? Because the thyroid pills would make them sluggish to do so, you know, and, you know, not as coherent as need to be in order to, you know, move out the, you know, the way of them punches.
Right.
You know, and this is actually on YouTube. You can actually pull this up about his former trainers and associates saying that they seen him, you know, and they seen the doctors. Now, what Brother Bobby Hemming and Brother Baba Phil Valentine has stated, which I agree with, is that it was rat poison that they was actually feeding him, and which that caused him to, you know, remember he was the greatest. So the
right.
name Ali means the Most High. of the Most High God. So hence the term the greatest, as in Allahu Akbar. You know, that was, you know, his name from Cassius Marcellus, you know, Clay. You know, so he was part of the X-Men. You know, hence, quote unquote, the Nation of Islam. You know, who, you know, normally when they come in, most members when they come in, they receive an X, which symbolizes the unknown.
Right.
You know, he was able to get Ali, you know, off the bat, in which that correlated to the Moorish Science Temple, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science / the Moorish Divine National Movement, the Moorish National Divine Movement, however we want to refer to it as, up under Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You know, in which that we know that Robert Elijah Poole Bey, or Elijah Bey, was a member, or at least sat in the classes from his own statements, you know, and got taught in the Moorish Science Temple there in Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah.
You know, as well as also Master Farad Muhammad, who was known then as David Ford L., was also a member.
I have a picture of him.
Right, exactly. And we have it on the website for those who want to go deeper about it. You can go to the Moorish Holy Temple of Science of the World, to the page, www.dralim.elbey.com, and you can go there and go to that page and actually read probably the most thorough historical, without bias, you know, as if I'm trying to sway you to worship a man, because I don't do that. I'm not into man worshiping. Sorry.
Right.
You know, the divine Christ, Melchizedek, the supreme force or deity dwell within each and every one of us. That is each and every one of our divine soul. All right? Now, there are some people on this planet that does not have soul. I won't go there.
Right.
They do have the breath, which deals with calming the ego and the personality, you know, in which that must be developed, which is probably the key. That is the key source of life. You know, we can go without food for over a month. We can go without water for over a week. You know, just a little over a week, not much. But we can't go without the breath, but probably about 3 minutes or so. So, you know, we have to realize is that is the most important aspect of life. And so when Muhammad Ali, you know, was saying float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, you know, that was symbolic, you know, to the way he moved. That spirit within him, that soul within him was able to move like that. And so by taking these particular thyroid pills, and then they said that he wouldn't just take one, he would take 3. So he wouldn't just take one, Brother L, he would take 3. You know, so, you know, it was a wonder that he would barely make those fights, you know, in the later years. Of course, see, the thing is that they wanted to shut his mouth.
Right.
He was too vocal. Go back to the old shows that he was on, and in front of the press, he always said, Assalamu alaikum. You know, he always said, you know, peace be upon, or something, you know, or praise be to Allah, Allahu Akbar. He always said some type of Islamic phrase, you know, or spoke the language when he was in front. Then he would go into white supremacy, you know, and go into, you know, how white supremacy was designed to hold us down and oppress us, suppress us, depress us. He would talk about all these things on nationwide TV, and being the figure that he was, being renowned and being known around the globe, around the world. You know, like I said, the FBI agent told us specifically to our face that once you get over 100,000 followers, they're coming. You know, now he had millions, possibly even billions of fans, because he was the most known person during the 70s.
Yes.
All right? The most known person during the 70s. Probably the only other person would probably have been close was Michael Jackson. You know, but he was the most known. I mean, so much so till they actually, you know, did, you know, comic books. He actually fought Superman in a comic book and whooped his ass. He whooped Superman ass in the comic book in DC Comics. Y'all can look this up. This is I remember having a comic book as a child.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was fascinated, you know, that Muhammad Ali won the fight against white supremacy. Superman.
Because I was surprised that they let him win. You know,
right?
DC Comics being ran by Europeans, and I'm surprised they let him win. I said they allowed that to be written in this comic. Somebody showed that to me. And I said, what? I was shocked.
Yeah. You have to be, you know, because that's fascinating. That's really fascinating. And, you know, so they wanted to shut his mouth, Brother L, you know, because he was such a phenomenal spokesman for the Nation of Islam, for Islam, as well as also for upliftment of, quote unquote, the said Moorish or black community. And so they wanted him to, you know, be quiet. So what would they do? Well, thyroid is the throat chakra. So you had to come up with something in which that would keep him quiet. So if you notice, over the years, he was real vocal.
Right.
You know, and, you know, some say that he was arrogant. Whatever the case was, but he made the European Albion shut his mouth when he was in front of him. You know, they had to think around him. That's what Elijah Muhammad did teach, is you how to think. If you wasn't, you know, you was able to be quick on your feet in front of those cameras, you know, and that was something very different. You see? That was something very different. You know, they got a chance in order to see how intelligent he really was. And the fact is that he stated that at the time, you know, allegedly he didn't even finish high school. You know?
Right.
And to be that intelligent and be able to be that quick on the feet, they see the type of men in which that Elijah Muhammad was raising. So, I mean, when he changed the name from Clay, allegedly converting to Islam, because that's what they love to say, but you were born a Muslim, all right?
Exactly.
And the word Muslim or Muslim or Misran, where the original word comes from, which is ancient Egyptian or hieroglyphics, actually means born from the tear Ra. All right? Born from the tear of Ra. And that's what it says, that humans are born from the tear of Ra. So we are all born from the tear of Ra. The tear symbolizes that soul connection, that spark of life. Hence, your body is 75% water. So, you know, saying that we was born in water also, triple stage darkness, which is the 3 trimester periods, you know, the first 3 months, the second 3 months, and the third 3 months, which 3 times 3 is 9, going into the 10th month or the 40th week, symbolic to Noah. It rained 40 days and 40 nights, and then the water break. You know, even in the story, just like the water break within the mother's, you know, womb, or you know, the bring forth the child from out of the darkness into the light, symbolically. Once again. You know, but he changed his name, you know, or Elijah Muhammad gave him the title or name Ali, and that was, you know, something, you know, major during that time period, because that set off a counterculture generation, in the sense that they would have to not just join an organization, but now even in and out change their names, And so, we've seen a lot of people during the 70s and 80s actually change their names, from the said slave name, birth name, government name, whatever you want to refer to it as, to some type of indigenous or Arabic, which actually the first Moors of Arabia, were said blacks, hence the term blackamoor, because we have Albions to this day who tried to state that the Moors were pale. And some of them did become pale due to the invasion of the Moors, and I don't want to say per se invasion, but they say conquest or whatever they want to refer to it as. But as the Moors entered into Spain and Portugal and different other areas of Europe, Asia Minor as it's really called, Europe doesn't really exist because if you look at all the continents, all of them they begin with an A and end with an A.
Mm-hmm. So
really, you're talking about America, A, Australia, A, Asia, A, Antarctica, A, Africa, A. So the only one that don't have an AA is EE, which is Europe. All right, so we know that was not the original name. It was minor. It was Asia Minor, and some refer to even Africa as what they refer to as Asia Major. All right, but that's another discussion. But we're talking about, his career because I think it was in 1984 he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, in which that was attributed to, like what you said, brain injuries caused by his boxing career.
Mm-hmm.
And so as the condition worsened, he made limited public appearances, as he was cared for by his family until his death, which was June 3rd, 2016, or just simply, 5 days ago?
Yeah, 5 days ago.
Right, 5 days ago. Now, we know that some of his most memorable fights, of course, the fight of the century, Super Fight 2, the Thriller in Manila, which they refer to it, which was the Joe Frazier fight, the first fight of Lenny Liston, that first fight. And matter of fact, they fought again. The second fight too.
Yes, they did.
I wasn't born, but that was
Ali.
The
second, with the
right, I've seen it. Right,
hit him with.
Right. The first and the second, he whipped that behind. Right. And then of course the Rumble in the Jungle with George Foreman. So these were probably the most memorable fights of Ali. But he was diagnosed, like we said, with Parkinson's disease in 1984. Now, I got a chance to meet him during that time period. All right? I think it was around, actually, 1983. I think I was about 14 years old. And he was in Harlem. And he was coming up the block on going towards 129th Street from 128th on Lenox Avenue, which is now called Malcolm X Boulevard.
Mm.
And I was coming around the corner, and here it was. I'm looking at him. Now, he's surrounded by children, but, he was allegedly only 6'3", but he looked like a damn giant to me, at that time. You know what I'm saying? He looked like a giant. And so I'm coming around the corner, and I'm like, oh, snap, that's Muhammad Ali. So I work my way through the crowd of children, and I go and shake his hand, and then I hurry up and go to the train because I had to go, make some moves, but I'm like, yo, I just shook Muhammad Ali's hand, the greatest.
Right.
So I actually got a chance to meet him. And then the crazy thing is that years later in college, I actually helped his, he had a son who never got a chance to meet him, but we got a chance to have his son actually meet him when he came to Fayetteville, North Carolina. And he was up at the, I think he actually came to the Omar Ibn Said Mosque there in Fayetteville, and we got his son to meet him. I think he was actually at the auditorium somewhere, and I think they might have made a little visit there, however it was. But we got a chance for his son to meet him who never met him before. And his name was Caesar. All right, so he had one of them, Cassius, Marcellus, type of names too, a Roman name, but his name was Caesar, so he got the chance to actually meet his father, and his father actually said, man, you do look like me, so these are some great things that actually I got a chance to witness and be part of, with the champ, the greatest before, his before his, his official diagnosis, and after his diagnosis, because that was around 1990. I think that was around 1990, 1989 when that happened.
Right.
With the brother meeting him. So that was like 5 years after the diagnosis, and he wasn't yet drawn away from the public light yet. And the crazy thing was that when I met him, in 83, I don't remember any bodyguards being around him. It was just him walking up the block, and children and adults all over the place, all around him, like he was ice cream. So, that was, something special that I still remember to this day. So, let me get to anything else that you remember, Brother L, that you want to talk about before I go to the next, segment?
Yeah, I remember him visiting St. Louis, and I was Muhammad's Mosque on Grand back in '75, and I saw him from a distance, but I knew he was taller than I am. Taller than me, because he was, because I'm 6'2", and 6'3", he must have been 6'3", because he was slightly taller than I was, So I can, and I spoke to him from a distance, and he waved for me from a distance, and that's the closest I got to him.
Right. So I was lucky to get through the crowd then.
Yeah, you were far more lucky than I was.
Right. I got you. Well, at least you got the wave, Brother Al. At least you got the wave.
Yes, I did.
Indeed. So, well, we find out that the same week of his passing, Brother L, a movie came out called X-Men: The Apocalypse.
Yes, it did.
I'm going to get to that in a minute. But before I go there, I just want to keep that in mind for the people who's just coming on, that we're going to get into the discussion on that. And of course, once again, y'all have any questions, want to add anything, based on memory of the champ or greatest, the number is 626-414-3535. That's 626-414-3535. We're going to come on and go to the phone lines in a few here. But before we get to that, let's get to this discussion, a topic, because some people are trying to say that Ali died over a year ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because when they said that he was in the hospital last year, that it is stated that he died then. I won't go there per se. What I will say is that we just learned that 80% of Muhammad Ali's name, likeness, and his estate was purchased a few years ago for $50 million by a Jewish business executive by the name of Robert F.X. Sillerman, who's the owner of CKX Incorporated. Now, Sillerman sold the rights to Ali, to the American Idol, Elvis Graceland, and much more to Vulture Fund, Apollo Management, not the Apollo Theater, but the Apollo Management. And so in 2015, the Apollo paid Bill Clinton through one of his subsidiaries $250,000 to speak. And this is why Bill Clinton is doing the eulogy for the great Muhammad Ali. All right? It's because who has 80% of those rights is Sillerman. And so this may be the reason no predominant, powerful, so-called black leader are speaking at Muhammad Ali's funeral. Okay, that might be the reason why. We have to do further research, but from
right.
Thank you. But from what I've studied, that's what's going on, Brother L. What you think about that?
Hey, what now?
I was asking what you think about that.
This is the first I heard of it.
Yeah. Okay.
First I heard of it. It's news to me. Right. He said that he sold a lot of his property 2 years ago. That's the first I heard of it.
A few years ago, yeah. Matter of fact, 80%. Why would the family even do something like that?
Right.
What happened, for the family to do that?
And they said he died a year ago.
Well, that's what some are saying, because a few years ago that transpired and took place. Allegedly, Brother L. I won't go into, the conspiracy theories. I'm just going to stick to the script as far as telling you that Sillerman owned 80% of Muhammad Ali likeness and everything else of Muhammad Ali, in that sense. And they sold it to the family for $50 million. So the family obviously needed the money. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
You see? So, we're looking at something here in which that, was, to me, was a problem, is a problem,
Yeah.
But, because people was asking the question about President Clinton speaking, and why is he speaking and no, quote-unquote, predominantly black or African-American leaders speaking? Why, Brother L? Why they not doing that?
I was always suspicious of that. Always suspicious of that, even when he first started buying property in Harlem. And I said, why Harlem?
Right.
Why Harlem? What is this interest in Harlem that Europeans...
They say that him and Hillary damn near made billions of dollars off of the Haiti disaster.
That doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Off the earthquake that went to the border of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, but it didn't go into the Dominican Republic. It just went throughout Haiti. So when you ever heard of an earthquake stopping at the border?
Yep.
Exactly. All right, but I won't go there. But continue on, Brother L.
I never heard of such of an earthquake like that.
Right.
HARP did that. That was triggered, because Haiti is a national government. Their people are nationalized, and that's why a lot of countries came to their aid.
Right.
And this is what a lot of people are not looking at. Well, look at here. This is a country or island full of Moors. You know, well, they don't do that for any other when it comes to the Louisiana disaster. They didn't do that for us. So why the Haitians? What made the Haitians so special? Well, why? Because they have a nationality. You know, if you notice,
good, Brother L. Glad you explained that.
I think they did a lot of rebuilding in Haiti. I think.
Yeah, they are.
A lot of rebuilding. You know, things they don't do for other Asiatic people, especially in this country.
Right.
And this is what a lot of the Asiatic people need to start looking at. You know, but like I say, they never did forget that about them making a fool out of France, Spain, and you know, they never forgot that when they ousted during the days of Toussaint Overture and Juan Jacques de Silene. You know, these were some of the people don't even know what I'm talking about when I mention these names.
Right.
But these were Haitian patriots of Haiti.
Right.
You know, and how they had gained their own independence. You would never see a movie made about it, though.
Right. True indeed.
I mean, Danny Glover was supposed to have made a movie about it, but no banks will fund his movie project on that.
Exactly.
They won't fund him. And this is little known to a lot of our people.
Right.
They fund something like Booty Call, you know, something like that.
Right.
But none like take brother Michael J. White, you know.
Right.
The movie The Moor.
Exactly.
I think you put that out, Dr. Alim, that they want to fund him. This project either. Right.
Yep. They won't fund him either. Right. So, exactly. I think it was Laissant L'Ouverture is what Danny Glover was going to do a movie on about Haiti during that time period, the Haitian Revolution. And they won't fund it, just like you said. Michael J. White, they won't fund his Moore movie. Hell, they was giving problems to Spike Lee for doing Malcolm X. Malcolm X.
Yeah, they was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
that's
he
why
spoke
they got
about that, you know, during that time period. So that's why he needed, you know, $5 million from Oprah and different other ones to continue, you know, the funding of the movie.
And they
made
the movie according to where they want him to make it.
Right.
They put a lot of us on the spot, you know, because I was still active with the Nation of Islam at the time.
Right.
We got all kind of threats, bomb threats to blow up our mosque, and we had to hurry. You know, a lot of times at the meetings we had to hurry up and come home. I found myself running to my home, running to my apartment one time, you know, because of these threats. You know, because Spike Lee, they flipped him.
Right.
Which I believe, you know.
Right.
So he made that movie the way they wanted him to make it. He made a statement that the actor Denzel Washington made a statement that I don't know, maybe the Nation of Islam and the FBI they may be be together on this. I don't know. That's not what he said in that book. I remember the book because I bought it.
Right, I read it too. That was one of my inspirations was the book Autobiography of Malcolm X, in which that led me upon this road that I'm on now. So, and I was 12, so I definitely agree. It wasn't said. He said the Nation of Islam, this is something beyond them, and this is something in which that I know that it couldn't have done. So there had to be, you know, other forces working here behind the scenes. And the fact that I was being tailed and followed in Egypt showed that it had to have been the CIA, or what we refer to now as COINTELPRO.
Exactly. You an FOI. You were with the FOI, so was I.
Right.
You know we don't do no mess like that.
Right. Well, that's what Malcolm said. He said, I trained them. I know what they can do and what they can't do. And this is something that they couldn't do.
You and I trained with them.
Right.
So we know.
Right. So I mean, he said that.
So here's the proof right here, you know.
Right.
Malcolm gone, but we still here though.
Yeah. Yep. Still got to tell the truth about the matter. And that gets us to now, like we were saying, the week of the death of the greatest, Muhammad Ali. All right, Muhammad means one who is worthy of praise. Ali means the Most High God. So the one worthy of praising the Most High God, Muhammad Ali, like we said, passed June 3rd, 2016. And the week of, I think it was May 27th was when the release date for X-Men Apocalypse came out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the week of, we see that Muhammad passed physical form. Now, we know that when we looked at, I guess you can say, the whole X-Men series or saga, we seen something, I guess you would say, particularly new, in the sense that X-Men itself, its origin, let me say this, its origin, was something in which that took place based on the 1960s.
Right.
Okay? It took place in the 1960s. All right? Now, the writers, all right, of X-Men, let me just say this about the writers. They specifically stated that they used the 1960s during that time that Charles Xavier was based on was based on Martin Luther King, the figure of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. That Magneto was based on the philosophy of Malcolm X. So the philosophy of Martin Luther King was Charles Xavier, and the philosophy of Malcolm X was Magneto. All right, now, that's important for us to understand, too. And remember, in the movie, they was, at one time, best friends. And they basically say, my best friend, a good friend, however the case is, throughout the whole thing. And that is something in which that is something we have to remember, because that means that they was looking at that photo of when Malcolm and Martin Luther King shook hands.
Mm-hmm.
And that had to be something in which that they really focus on to even get the ideology for that. And, of course, Stan Lee is always in, each of these movies. But it was created, the X-Men was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, So Stan Lee is always in these movies. Nearly every Marvel movie he's been in, for years. And that's something too. But we know that those characters in particular, those two, was based on having opposing views and philosophies regarding the relationship between mutants and humans. So who was the mutants that they was referring to during that time period? Was those who broke the white supremacy mode of thinking and ideology, and that was talking about, at the time, the Nation of Islam, and their members being the X-Men, or having the X on the end of their names, which symbolized, like we said earlier, the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So while, Professor X, as he was called also, just like back in the days, they called Master Farad Muhammad Professor Farad. They also, who say he came in the image or was the reincarnation of Professor Drew, who was Noble Drew Ali. So this professor thing, was used from their correlating that history. So Professor X, which is Charles Xavier, was, Dr. Martin Luther King, which was towards peace and understanding between mutants and humans, while Magneto's view was humans, treated humans as a threat and believed that to take an aggressive approach against them, basically, should be something in which that they, did, because they would eventually come after them. And matter of fact, on this movie, Magneto at the end asks Professor X, Charles Xavier, that he said, "Don't you fear that one day they will come after you?" And after, what you have built and established. And even Professor X said, I would fear them for, he basically was saying, I would fear for them on that day. Basically, if they come here, they're going to get their ass handed to them. So that's when you seen for the first time in these series of movies that the philosophy between Professor X, who's Charles Xavier, and Magneto was moving towards each other. All right? And, this is what happened essentially with Malcolm. When he said that he would work with any civil rights leader, that he no longer, adhere to the philosophy of the Nation of Islam, in particular that of Elijah Muhammad, because of what he came to know. But even Malcolm changed his name to El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. So here you have Malik El and you have Muhammad Ali. And these are titles in which that comes from the Moorish ancestry or Moorish Americans, i.e. the Moorish Science Temple of America, i.e. the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, both known as the Moorish Divine National Movement of the world, formed 1925-26 and 1928. As a matter of fact, Prophet Noble Drew Ali was poisoned or killed on exactly 1 year after of them forming the Moorish Science Temple of America. I think it was July the 10th. And the people that was in the room, of course, never spoke. But who was in the room was allegedly Aaron Aaron Payne L., his father, who was the doctor. He himself was a lawyer, and Mary Foreman Ali, who was the wife of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and allegedly the Prophet laid his head in her lap and just passed formed, allegedly.
That's right. Yeah.
And said that he could do better on the soul plane than he could here. Now, this is what is all told to us.
Right.
I'm going to stop right there. What's your thoughts on what I've just said, Brother Al? I'm pretty sure you got some things to add to it.
Yeah, but he had a lot of opposition. A lot of people sold out. And, like a lot of people do most of the time, when it comes to a movement like that. A lot of people he couldn't trust, and maybe he feel. If he did say that, I feel like this. He said that maybe he can do better on the soul plane. Therefore, he won't have no interference. He can move about and do things the way he wants to do.
Right, at least that's how they make it sound to us, right?
Right. And we got to remember that didn't happen to after he had went to Panama and Cuba and they're dealing with the Moorish the grant that when the well a little bit after that the U.S. corporation went bankrupt. You know, going before the Great Depression. That's what caused the Great Depression, really.
Right.
You know, because a lot of them banks needed money anyway after World War One. They went bankrupt after World War One.
Right.
So they want to borrow some more money, but Noble Drew Ali put a stop to that. You know, well, no, you owe us a lot of reparations. You know, you bust this land, there's 6,000 to 8,000 acres of land that we got over there in America and stretches from America, the Gulf of Mexico to Canada. You know, to both get that back to us. And they haven't given it back to us yet, of course. But that's a lot of, you know, why they triggered that depression.
Right.
And right after that, next thing I know, the next year later, Noble Drew Ali is dead.
Right. Exactly. Well, good points, Brother L. And once again, we see similar things taking place, you know, in these comic book characters, and in particular, you know, the characters, you know, called the X-Men first appeared, I think it was September 1963. In 1963, which was during the heyday of Malcolm, you know, being the national spokesman for the Nation of Islam. You know, and allegedly, you know, the X-Men are mutants. But they have it as a sub-species of humans who are born with superhuman abilities. Now, Malcolm spoke on us being 3/5 subhumans. So this whole thing about Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, who was the artist and co-writer, that whole thing speaks towards, you know, the mutants being the Nation of Islam / the Moorish Science Temple of America, you know, and the Nation of Gods and Earth, which is the 5%, all of us being at, you know, that we all claim to be Asiatics and we all basically hold the same doctrine that God is within. You know, Allah is man. You know, and that they are born with superhuman abilities. You know, which of course is melanin, because even the new Superman that they've been, you know, putting out, which is from Universe 2 or Earth 2, as they refer to it as, is a melanated Superman, in which that he get re-energized by way of the sun, just like Superman 1 or Superman on Earth 1. But, you know, this makes more sense because he's melanated, as melanin is, energy is generated by way of our melanin. You know, we get re-energized, revitalized. We get a reboot, you know, when we out in the sun. We get our vitamin D, you know, and this vitamin D, you know, especially if they're for at least an hour, helps to open and activate the 7 endocrine glands called chakras, or ritus, or the souls of Ra. Interestingly, Apocalypse said they call me many names, and he said Elohim was one of them. Now, Brother L, now you know in the 101s, 102s, it speaks about the 7 eyes of Allah. You know, and it speaks about the Elohims, the 7 Elohims, which we refer to esoterically as your chakra system. But in the movie, Apocalypse said that he was one of that he was the Elohim. He said, they call me many names. Elohim is one of them. This is what was said in the movie, Brother L.
I never saw that movie.
Yeah, it just came out.
Oh, just came out, okay.
But that's what he said.
Because I got that written in my book, the Circle 7.
Right.
I'm almost through with it.
Right, exactly. You had to deal with that. So Apocalypse, whose name was called En-Shaba-Nur. That was his name. En-Shaba-Nur. Now, that name means, all right, basically what that name means for people who don't speak Arabic, because why they gave him an Arabic name. All right, they gave him an Arabic name, and he was the color blue, just like Krishna. And as a matter of fact, we find out that he was not only was the most powerful mutants, he was the first mutant, Brother L. And all the mutants were his children. And he was an Egyptian.
I didn't know they dropped it like that in that movie.
Yes. Or, I should say, he was in Egypt. What gave him the ability to be the first mutant was his consciousness. His consciousness was able to go from body to body. But in that particular body, his name was En-Shaba-Nur, which essentially means El-Shaba-Nur. Now, Shaba basically means, God, the rest of God, and Nur means the light or light.
The light of God.
Right, essentially means the light of God. Roughly translated means the light of God, Brother L.
So can nobody doubt that they've been studying our sacred sciences?
Exactly. And they gave him an Arabic name and made him blue, just like they had to do the indigenous people on Avatar. The indigenous people on the movie Avatar were blue.
Yes, they were.
Symbolically, the blue-black. The guys who are referred to as the blue-black. Now, in the movie, there's a lot of things going on. He get betrayed. All right, this is what it said, that he gets betrayed. All right, because he was the world's very first mutant. In which that part I didn't know from reading all those comic books over the years and collecting comic books. And I had books on Apocalypse, but they was always in pieces. They never gave out the real information. This is the first time that I knew that he was the very first mutant.
See, that's what started me back to reading comic books. I had left them alone for a long time, when I got into adulthood. But my brother told me, he said, no, you should start back reading comic books.
Right.
You start back to reading them. That's how the corporation, European corporation, do a lot of their black operations based off of comic books.
Right.
And they bring them into make them happen in real events.
Right.
And this is what and have a lot of our science in comic books, a lot of more science in comic books.
Yeah, it does. Definitely do. Matter of fact, there was a comic book series when it was on Superman, speaking about that he was going to find another nationality. That he was not going to be a United States citizen any longer, that he was going to repatriate. This was in a comic book, Brother L. That Superman said this. Okay, so in this movie, which was the 9th installment of the X-Men film series, and it was the sequel to the 2014 joint X-Men Days of Future Past. But in this one, this ancient mutant, Anshabanur, awakens in 1983, plan to cleanse the human race and take over the world, leading to the X-Men to try to stop him and defeat his team, which was the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. So they threw some biblical shit up in there on you too. Okay? Now, Storm, who is Oya, actually from the Yoruba traditions, they made her an Egyptian. But originally, she was from out of the Igbo tribe, or from the Nigerian tribe, based on the comic books from out of Africa, allegedly, and she was actually a form of Oya. All right? That's who Storm was, at least originally in that sense. She was from the sub-Saharan part of Africa, not from the northeast portion of Africa, put it that way. Right? She was from West Africa, as they would say, not East Africa. But in this movie, they made her East African, that she was from Egypt. Well, they never say where she was per se from, but they had her in Egypt during the same time of the rising of Apocalypse. And she actually was the first one that he came in contact with, was her. Okay, now we know later on in the comic book series, Charles Xavier actually turns over the role or the lead of the X-Men to Storm. Okay, but she was originally one of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse based on this movie to Anshabanur, who was called Apocalypse, the very first mutant. Now, Oya was known in the Yoruba traditions, or you should say Yoruba, not necessarily Igbo, but Yoruba, Nigeria. All right? And she had the gift, of course, to control the weather. All right? The thunder, the lightning, so forth and so on. She was like the counterpart to Shango, in which that we find later on in the comic books the Nordic rendition, which is Thor. And I'm just putting the pieces of this puzzle together for everybody, who actually read comic books, because it's been a minute, but we got to get into it. And of course, he ruled over ancient Egypt, Apocalypse, or Anshabanur, until he was betrayed by his worshippers, who entombed him alive. All right, they thought they killed him, but he was still alive. All right, his guards, the 4 lieutenants, died, using their powers to safeguard him. So he accidentally is awakened in 1983, and he observed the new world and believed that humanity had lost his way without his presence because they're no longer worshiping him. Right? And they kept referring to him as a false god. Just because he had these powers, he was a false god. All right? And so he became aimed, on destroying the modern world to remake it. Same way about these so-called Illuminati, with their thoughts of the New World Order. And from out of chaos comes order. So they'll wreak chaos and havoc in order just to get order.
Right.
This was his plan, was to destroy the planet. Humanity in particular, not per se the planet, but Earthlings, put it that way. All right. So Aurora Monroe, who is Oya, who is actually Storm, is the first person that he meets. That's the first one he recruits from out of Cairo, Egypt. And he upgrades her power, which causes her hair to turn white in the process. in East Berlin, you know, the shapeshifter Raven, who they actually had her as another name, you know, Raven, other name I can't remember right now, but she had another name too. All right, but they kept referring to her as Raven in this movie, but I think she was also referred to as Mystique. Yeah, she was Mystique. And, you know, for those who read the comic books, Mystique was like the right hand to Magneto. All right? But she was a shapeshifter, of course. And she was investigating the underground fight club and discovered the mutant champ Angel, who possessed, you know, large feathery wings on his back. You know? And who's actually, I think his name is Kirk Wagner. Yeah, it's Wagner, I think. And you know what I'm saying? And Kirk Wagner can teleport. And that was oh man, what's his name? Man, I can't remember right now. But he was able to teleport. They both was in the cage fighting. You know what I'm saying? I'm just breaking down some things here. Y'all go see the movie. It's going to be real enlightening in that sense. But one of those 4 apocalypse, you know, people in which that apocalypse pick is actually one is Angel. Right now, Angel, you know, we know ends up joining the X-Men. We know that Storm ended up joining the X-Men. All right? All right? And matter of fact, there was I think there was one more, but I think that one died. One of the ones died. But anyway, and one lived and she went off, and I think she probably going to be around in the next one trying to resurrect the consciousness and probably put that consciousness back into another body for Apocalypse. So we ain't seen the last of him, I'm pretty sure of that. But the whole thing, Brother L, was based on that Anshabanur, Apocalypse, he was able to enhance their powers. And like with Angel, who had feathery wings, he made those wings into metal and amplified his psionic skills. You know, so I'm just going over some of this, you know, and y'all see the end, you know, where, you know, when we actually see, you know, Jean Grey actually become the Phoenix, and she's the only one who had enough power in order to destroy the physical body of Apocalypse. Right? For those who don't know, Phoenix is actually a level 5 mutant. There's levels to this. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like the Hurricanes. Right? There's level 1 through 5. Well, mutants, they did the same thing to them and their powers. All right? Magneto and Charles Xavier are level 4. Jean Grey is level 5. Means that she's the baddest, one of the baddest, you know what I'm saying, in comic book world. All right? She's one of the baddest. All right? It's not
all the 5
baddest.
points, huh?
Huh?
These are all the 5 points.
Right, and she's right, and her name, Jean Grey, her name is Phoenix, so symbolic to the phoenix that rise from the ashes. You know, the mythical story, you know, that every 500 years, you know, that's what takes place. And they had, you know, Quicksilver in here who died, you know, before, you know, I think in another, you know, one of the X-Men, you know, he ended up always dying and shit. But he was in this one. Quicksilver was this one, and shit, he ran faster than the Flash. You know, even though in the comic books, Flash actually outran Quicksilver. You know, was faster than him. But in this, you know, he was running so fast that, you know, that he was able to stop time. You know, which, you know, Flash is able to do too in the DC comics, but, you know, matter of fact, he's able to go back in time, you know, but that's another story, you know, but...
Yeah, Flash. They had him in the Supergirl series one time, and almost at the end of the Supergirl series, told Supergirl, you need to decide that this is who you need to be with.
Right.
And he was referring to that Moor.
Right.
Which I found was odd. You know, the Supergirl, the European woman, out of all those men, she chose the Moor, her brother.
Right.
You know, and I said, that ended, you know, I said, man, wow, that's a whole big different, and her name was Kara for L.
Right. L, exactly.
You know, so
right. And matter of fact, the brother was Jimmy Olsen. They made Jimmy Olsen a brother.
Right.
Right. That was the brother. You right. Now, right now, what made Jean Grey finally go to Phoenix mode was because Xavier kept encouraging Jean to unleash her full extent of her powers, incinerating El Shabanur. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she tore that ass up, literally. All right? Also in the movie, they show you Weapon X, which is Wolverine. He's in there for a short, you know, moment, because that's going to lead way to another Weapon X movie or Wolverine movie. They had Colonel William Stryker up in there, who, you know, that was part of that. You know, so I mean, they brought a lot of things back and showed you there's going to be a lot of reconnections. You know, so I'm gonna leave it there for right now, and we're gonna bring on. We got 323 area code 323. We're gonna bring you on, comment, question, etc. You're on live on the air. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace. My name is James. I'm calling from Los Angeles, California, and I just had a quick question. Dr. Alim Bey, I have about 5 books in my library. How many books do you have in your library?
In my library?
Yes.
Ooh, bro. And the ones that's packed up, bro, probably about over 10,000, bro.
Really?
Yeah. I got about 5,000 in my house. And on my shelves, and probably another 5 or so packed up, and yeah.
Okay. Right.
And I read the majority of all of them that I'm talking about too over the last 30 years.
And I got one more question. On your website, you guys say that the metaphysical end of religious confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, you say that somebody disrespected our scholars. Who was that?
The scholars were, in particular, Oswald Kwesi, who I know personally, and Pastor Ray Higgins, who I also know personally. But in particular, Oswald Kwesi is who I'm referring to. And these were Europeans who attempted to come at them, in particular Oswald Kwesi, a few years ago. And I was saying that if they can bypass the information that I have here, I'll debate you.
But who were the
Europeans? And so far, no one has stepped to that challenge. No European has stepped to that challenge.
But were these people on YouTube?
Yeah, they was on YouTube. They had their whole little rendition about Oswald Kwesi, and and what he was saying, you know, how true it was and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, you know.
What do you like, Christians or?
They would call themselves that, but, you know, yeah, I guess you could say they were Christians. So I just simply said, well, I'll debate you, you know. Because I'm not debating no more of my brothers or sisters in the so-called conscious community. I started that shit with, you know, with SETI, and, you know, I'm not doing that no more. So let a European step up, and that's who I'll debate, you know, when it comes to this information.
Right.
You know, because that's who needs to be debated against. You know, and I'm not seeing that. Well, recently there was a Jew in which that, you know, got beat up on by Brother Polite. You know, I haven't really got a chance to check that out, but I heard, you know, that's what happened, and, you know, that type of thing. But, you know, a lot of stuff that even the European or that Jew was saying, you know, I watched his YouTubes, and so a lot of that stuff was some good information as far as him having to state that we were the original Hebrews, you know, and so forth and so on. So,
but I was gonna say, when you debate a Christian, sometimes you can bring the information forth and they still not gonna believe you. So why waste your time?
Well, it wouldn't be for them. It would be actually in the venue of people who can come out in order to. Let me explain. We had nearly 400 people at the debate I had with SETI, and Professor Professor Dr. Ben Yakinen was sitting right there on the front row. You know.
Okay.
And I used Dr. Ben's information to prove that the word Moor was one of the honorable names that we have used in history, or that we was known by in history by the Europeans.
Yes, I got the tape.
Right. And so he's sitting there on the front row, and Dr. Ben had a doctorate that he got from Havana, Cuba, University of Havana, Cuba, as well as also from the University of in Spain, of Barcelona, University of Barcelona in Spain, in which that he had a PhD in Moorish history, which people want to always forget about. So not only was he have a PhD in Moorish history, Dr. Ben was also a Hebrew, a so-called black Jew, as well as an African scholar. So here you have a Hebrew teaching African scholarship who has a degree in Moorish history. He didn't have a problem with that information, understanding that it was all ours. The Negroes today have a problem because they're linear thinkers, all right? And this is the problem that's going on in the so-called conscious community today. You know, so Dr. Ben didn't have a problem with it. We didn't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. So, you know, it's just those who want to continue a divide and conquer tactic, you know, thinking that their information is best. But, yeah. I mean, even I seen a video with Mook L. He interviewed Brother Seti, and Seti was like, you know, brother was like, you know, what's your nationality, brother? You know, and Seti turned around and said, I don't have a nationality. I know I need one. So even he knows that Negro, Black, and Colored African American is not a nationality. Now the problem is, can we agree on the word more? And that's the problem that's going on. But the word more is really an ethnicity, you know, not per se a nationality. It's a nationality when you can join it with a tribal affiliation.
Right.
You know, like a word Washington or Moore. Now that becomes your nationality. because by definition, the word Moor ties you back to land.
Right.
But land where? Is it just in Africa? Is it Australia? You know, because indigenous people is all over the world.
Right.
You know, or is it here? What name do you use here that have actually won in United States Supreme Court case law or United States Supreme Court case decisions? You know, and it's the Washita that have won in these particular cases. You know, in which that showed that they was indigenous and that they had land rights, in which that went outside the bounds of the U.S. corporation, and that the U.S. corporation did not own land by the so-called Washita, you know, Moors. Matter of fact, one of the best friends of Dr. Ben Yakinen, who was very good friends, who was all part of the same council, you know, of elders, was John Henry Clark. Dr. John Henry Clark said best, that we are people in search of a nationality. And he said, we answer the stupid names such as Negro, Black, and Colored. He said, when we find a nationality, it must instantaneously tie us back to land. Instantaneously tie us back to land. That's what he said. He said land, history, and culture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he said it must instantaneously tie us back to land. Well, damn, if you go to the Blackstone Dictionary on the word land and you look in the definition, the word Moors is embedded inside of the damn definition. You can't get more instantaneously than that.
Right.
So the word Moor is used because it ties us instantaneously back to land. Now, what is your tribe in which that you come from in what we refer to as America? Because we know that we are the Americans because the definition of 1828, definition of 1936, definition of 1937 by Webster Universal Dictionary or Webster Dictionary states specifically that Americans are Aboriginal copper-colored natives, all right, who was here before the settlement of their territories by Europeans.
Okay.
Now I can take a penny out on the majority of the so-called black people here on this telephone call or line, as well as also in the country, and put various copper color pennies against our complexion, and we fit the category.
Yes.
More than 49. Now, Night Wolf was interviewed Minister Farrakhan recently, not too long ago, and Mr. Farrakhan said this. He said more than 49% of the so-called people on the reservation are not even Indians. They're not even Native American. Because he was talking about the $5 man or the $5 Indians, which is spoken about within the third part of Hidden Colors. And it was spoken of by Claude Anderson. Claude Anderson speaks about these people stealing birthrights, as they always done. The Jews did it with our Hebrew Israelite history, us being the real Jews and them being Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
They did it with us being Moors. Now you see in the history that they're Moors. They did it with us being Native American when when the Negroes were the so-called original Native American, which is historically told and shown on their maps, in their sculptures, in their paintings, even in photographs. And this is before the so-called black Indians, as they refer to themselves as, who was allegedly former slaves by Indians, being held by the Cherokee and being held by the Creek and different other so-called five civilized members, the so-called members of the five civilized tribes. So you must have and be part of a tribal. This is why it says, this is why we were given a clue about Prophet Nabi Ali being raised on the Cherokee Reservation. He was a Cherokee Moor. Indigenously. Okay? It says that he was born in 1886 and raised on a Cherokee Reservation in North Carolina. This is in the 101s and 102s. So this is my answer, brother, on on all of that. Okay?
Yeah. I'm glad you're doing better though, Dr. Bey.
Oh yeah. Can't hold a nigga down, bro.
All right. Well, thanks for talking with me.
All right, peace.
Peace, God.
Peace.
All right, we got area code 330. Area code 330. You're on the line.
If I want to get into Reiki, don't I have to open my crown chakra and my heart chakra?
When you use your hands, brother, and you putting in the symbols, which is called Chokurei Seiheki Hashishi Shonen Dekomeo, and then when you get the attunement and it's sealed with the Raku symbol, it attunes you to utilizing your hands, which activates the 29 compartments in your brain. The 29 compartments dedicated to your hands. So these compartments in your brain are activated simultaneously, and you can actually place your hands on your head, on your over your eyes, over your throat, over your heart, over your solar plexus, over your navel, over your genitals, your knees, your ankles, your feet, as well as the small of your back, to the sacral bone, up a little bit further, your kidneys and adrenal glands, up a little bit further, in which that goes towards the center of the body, which is the solar plexus in the back of the heart, on the back of the neck, then at the back of the head. Those are the 12 to 16 hand positions in Reiki. So you're not just opening your heart chakra and your crown chakra, head chakra. You're doing all of it at the same time, sending energy throughout your whole body, throughout your whole endocrine system and your various organs. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, brother. All right, we got area code 978. Area code 978. You're on the air.
How you doing, brother? This
is
brother
catching
in right here.
All
I'm
right.
good. I'm good, brother Al. What's up, brother Al?
Doing fine, brother. Peace.
All right, but I know you see my message. I mean, I got thrown out the hospital. You know what I mean? During my daughter's delivery or whatever, based on refusing the vitamin K shot. And
right.
Then, you know, that they called in the police and then they came up there and they escorted me out. I mean, I didn't want to, you know, cause a scene basically, so I pretty much just left and stuff. We did, you know, get contacted shortly after by stuff demanding we go to certain community centers and demand we do certain shit. We ignored that stuff. We did go to one visit or whatever. We ignored for the most part.
Right.
And now we're getting letters.
You understand that you need to put in some type of vaccine exemption form prior to doing so, brother.
Is that what it is too? A vaccine exemption form, right?
Yes, you need a go get online or go to Google and put in example or sample vaccine exemption form and do it in your state. And a free one should pop up, and you can download it and just simply fill that out. And if you need to get it notarized, then go to the bank in which that has free notary if you have an account there. And they will do it for free, and just get that notarized and take that to them and tell them that you have the right to be exempt from vaccinations. Your daughter or your child to be exempt.
And what about the and the credit union does that too, right, brother? The credit union.
Yeah, the credit union
just
does
like
that
the bank,
too.
right?
Yeah, go to any loan officer in the bank if you got the account, and they should do it for you because oftentimes they're notaries at the same time.
Okay. All right. Wow. But now the DCF brother, they mailing us letters and stuff about starting this investigation, all this stuff, and pretty much
once again,
I don't know
you
what
can do that, brother, and you can send them that letter after you do it, and tell them to close it because you have the right to do so based on your own accord, based on your affidavit. And if they want to take you to court,
so it'll shut that down.
That would be something in which that will happen later, but you will have the evidence in order to prove that you have the choice not to participate in that particular abomination.
Right, that whole avenue gets shut down, right? Just from the vaccination form.
Right.
Okay, all right. All right, yeah, thank you, but I know it's probably getting to the end of the show or whatever, so I'm probably just going to hit you up a little bit later and chop it up with you anyway, from the actual,
all right,
brother.
You
know what I mean?
Yep.
I have good hearing you on the air still, I missed a couple of them. Brother L, I know you've been holding it down, so I heard you last week, too. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. I'm back in effect. I'm back on, so I don't know. You take care.
All right, thanks, God.
Watch Thais, yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you
watch Thais.
All right, we got a few more minutes here. Y'all want to call in? Give us a call at 626-414-3535. That's 626-414-3535. Give us a call. All right, we've been going in here. You heard us. You know what I'm saying? So come on, make some comments. Come on and say something. We got area code 816. Area code 816. You're on the line.
Hey, Dr. Alim. How are you?
Peace. Doing good. How are you?
Peace, goddess.
I'm very happy. This is Trina, by the way.
Peace!
I just want to give you a huge shout out and show some love. I'm so glad you're back and you're feeling good and everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's a very good thing. So strong.
Oh,
my
yeah.
inspiration.
Oh, yeah.
Please give my love
that.
to the beautiful Kadira and the children as well.
Definitely, no doubt.
I wanted to ask you, I got in kind of late on the show due to the fact I'm just now getting off of work.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask you about that phoenix. You said the phoenix actually rises every 500 years. And I was wondering
from
if
the
before
ashes,
you depart,
that symbolizes the rebirth. Huh?
I just wonder if you could elaborate on the X-Men real quick a little bit more before you close down the show,
Right. Okay, so when we talk about the phoenix, we talk about the Bennu bird, which is in ancient Egypt, Kemet is a form of Heru. Heru symbolized the resurrection or that rebirth. That Jesus saga that we have in the New Testament becomes that, as he symbolizes the bird. This is why the dove is over top of his head, in which that he's ended up getting baptized by John the Baptist. That dove symbolized spirit, the spiritual soul. As a matter of fact, being happy that he is now accepting his quest, his mission, or his purpose. Well, the same thing happened with Heru. Heru is the incarnation of the and the son of Osar, just like Jesus was the son or incarnation of God. Same scenario. They took it straight from Egypt. And actually, if you get the book by Kersey Graves, it speaks of the 16 crucified saviors, in which he actually mentioned at least 35 in the book or more. Mm-hmm. All right, but the Bennu bird symbolizes the soul resurrection from the ashes. The ashes actually is the symbolic to the physical body. Once the body decomposes, ash to ashes, dust to dust. So the soul raises from up out of the physical body in order to incarnate or take another body again, hence symbolic to consciousness, which is the same thing that happened that they was talking about on Shaba Nur, the light of God, which is where he said his name was Elohim. It's talking about those 7 souls of Ra, and he worshiped Ra himself. If you go and look at the movie, all right, he worshiped Ra. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, he was the incarnation of Ra. All right?
You said he was the incarnation. Who was that?
Right. Apocalypse, who was called Shaba Nur. He was the incarnation of Ra.
Okay.
All right? So all of this was even in the movie, in the opening scenes. In the first 10, 15 minutes, they showed you this in the opening scenes. So that phoenix symbolized the resurrection, is also the physical form would be aspects of the soul emerging from out of the physical body, or what we refer to as the metaphysical aspect is the soul emerging from out of the physical body. And symbolically that 500 years actually symbolizes the five senses. All right?
Okay.
Feeling, touch, taste, smell, and hearing. And those five senses have five higher senses in which that correlates to that. For touch is psychchemistry. For hearing is clairaudience. For seeing is clairvoyance. For taste is clairgustance. For smell is clairsentience. So there's five higher senses than the five that we have. So hence, symbolically, the physical body has five senses. Those five senses dies, and the soul emerges with five higher senses, in which that it has, which you could actually activate in the physical body. You know what I'm saying? While you're here on Earth, if you practice the various techniques of breathing and so forth and so on, and like the brother said, Reiki and Tai Chi, Qigong, whatever the case is, energy modalities. But outside the body, the soul is not limited. It has this super hearing, this super sight. All these things take place. The spirit or a spiritual soul can move to any place that it chooses to around the world at any given time. This is why you can set up an altar and they can come and communicate with you via dream because they heard your call, your prayer. And you use the altar as something tangible that you can go to and is energized. So that means that they can come there quickly upon your announcement, upon your prayer or positive affirmation or decree.
So the altar itself is actually a communication device.
Right, it's a communication. Right, exactly. That altar is a telephone booth.
Okay.
That's what an altar or shrine is, a telephone booth. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Peace. All right. We got area code. All right. No, I guess we'll have to, all right, for y'all, we got comments, questions. 626-414-3535. That's 626-414-3535. Give us a call. All right, we got area code 410. Area code 410, you're on the line.
Peace, brother. Brother L.
Peace.
Dr. Alim.
Peace, God.
Yeah, you just chiming in. My usual just came back from little constitutional. Funny we don't call them constitutionals no more. A walk after dinner.
Right.
But yeah, man. I heard you talking about X-Men, and
right.
It's been a minute. It's been. I remember the Saturday morning cartoons, like just getting pumped before all the rest of them came on. But hey, brother, was Jubilee black? Remember Jubilee in the comics?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I never had that. I never got that. I'm just curious. Like after all these years, I never really got into the silliness of it all. But I was trying to figure out, was she really posed? Was she like a? It seemed like they tried to throw the token biracial girl in there, because like you were saying, Storm, she. It's like they had to de-Africanize her some way or another. You know what I mean?
I got you.
But anyway, so a more prevalent issue. I was looking up some sound yoga, Nada yoga, and
well, she supposedly was. Let me answer that question first. She's supposedly been a daughter born of a Chinese immigrant. Actually, that's what it said. If you go to the Marvel Universe wiki, they speak about Jubilee being a daughter of the prosperous Chinese immigrants. So.
Okay.
Right. So she was melanated.
Yeah, I got a sense of that because she didn't seem just straight. She wasn't straight Moorish, but whatever that could mean. But yeah, I thought she was mixed with something.
Right. Well, her real name actually was supposed to be Jubilation Lee, as in Bruce Lee.
Okay.
As in Jet Li. You see, so.
Yeah. All right then. Because they kind of made. No, I was just gonna say they kind of made her weak in the show a little bit, like.
Yeah, they did.
She was like the Blue Power Ranger. I mean, I don't know if that was out of. I don't know the age bracket of the listeners on the show, but Power Rangers been on for like 25 years, so everybody know about Power Rangers.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, but nobody wanted to be
like
the Blue
you said, it was like the blue, Power Ranger. I got you.
Yeah.
Always getting his ass kicked.
Yeah. But
right.
on another level, it's almost like they was kind of. I mean, you don't want to sound too silly, but it's like they subconsciously instilling that if you're smart, you automatically associate it being a geek or a nerd, and you can't fight or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because Billy, he was the smartest one on there, as far as I know. And of course, they had Zach. Zach was black. The yellow girl was the Asian girl.
Right.
The Yellow Ranger. Yeah, but anyway, man, I was talking about the Nada Yoga, and I saw that as far as the oscilloscope, the thing that it basically it's electronically it measures sounds on a screen, and they were talking about how the actual vowels. Dr. Phil talked about this too. Brother Phil talked to us a while ago with the Hebrew alphabet, but like the letter O or the vowel O, of course, being feminine in nature, it literally it's the shape of a circle on an oscilloscope, like not just alphabetically, little symbols. So that being feminine in nature. That the curve and everything, how it kind of pulls everything together, and I remember you was talking about different vowels and everything to clear the certain centers of the body.
Right.
I think Mantak Chia, he talked a little bit about that too, but.
Well, amazingly, in the movie they show the sound actually being the vibration of liquid light. Or energy moving through the stones of the pyramids, in which that invoked the power of apocalypse. As a matter of fact, they showed the pyramids when it was being lit up by this energy, the six-pointed star. Of course, the six-pointed star symbolizes as above, so below, as within, so without.
Yes, sir.
So this Kabbalistic thing was even in the movie. As a matter of fact, if we read the Holy Cabala by A.E. Wakes, he states on around page 20 in the commentary that the Cabala came together based on the Moors leftover information from when the Europeans raided the libraries in Europe. And he says this in the book. So, we know that the Moors, who was also referred to as the Huguenots, which I make mention of back in my 2005 videotape about the weather wars, about Louisiana, that it was also in South Carolina, and there was Moors. We see the Moors also part of the Melungeons, in which that later on we find out that Abraham Lincoln was a Melungeon, born of Nancy Hanks, as well as also, a so-called African father. That's what they claim anyway. So there's a lot of things going on. Even Elvis Presley was a Melungeon. So I mean, we see that the Moors did not just stay in Spain, like we were told by the Albion. That they traveled. That they came here to the Americas. Matter of fact, it is spoken of that the presence of Moors was in North Carolina back in 1690. This actually was in Charlotte Observer. In the Charlotte Observer, I think it was back in 1993, 94, 95, somewhere around within those 2 years span, somewhere around then. And said that that the Moors' presence was seen in North Carolina in 1690. So we know that the Moors were here, and they were dark skinned, of course. They're mixing in with the so-called natives, as well as others, brought about, who we refer to now as the Tawny Moors, or the Europeans claiming that they are Moors in that sense, which really you can see through the Melungeons. But we also have the Moors, who was the Delaware Moors, who was the Nanacoats, who was also referred to as the Lenni Lenape, which were those from out of Maryland, Delaware, and Pennsylvania and Ohio area, all the way up into New York.
Yeah, all along the river. This with the river that I'm going to ask you, and I live up here. It's the river that cross Susquehanna, all along Susquehanna.
Gotcha. And let me say this too before we go, is that the helmets on the Olmecs, they show you the Sentinels at the end of the X-Men Apocalypse movie, and what they're going to be dealing with next is the Sentinels coming in. We know that these are gigantic robots, and but the whole thing though looks just like the helmets in which that was worn by the Olmecs. So once again we see how X-Men, who was designed by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, was actually, using everything in which that took place, in which that was being discovered. We know that the heads were discovered in La Venta de Bosco, or the Yucatan Peninsula portion of Mexico. We know that there was over 20-some-odd heads that was found. Some was even buried and refound again because the European didn't want that information out, because you just can't bypass them lips and them noses, and even some who had braids. When my wife and I went down to Mexico in 2007, we walking down the street, and the damn head is in the middle of the street, and we was taking pictures with it.
Wow.
We was like, oh snap, yo, come on, take this pic. And it was a replica of a Olmec head right there in the damn middle of the street. We jumped off the bus and got to that joint and went to it. And because we knew the way back, we was walking to the hotel, and we ended up going to other hotels and and talking with the Mexican people. And guess what? One of the brothers said, "Come here." And I said, "Yeah." My wife and I went over there. And he said, "I got a question." And I said, "Yes." He said, "Why do y'all believe in Jesus?" And I said, "Oh, you talking about Jesus really being symbolic to the sun and the 12 zodiac signs?" You know, it's his disciples, 12 disciples. He said, oh, you know. I said, yes, I know. He said, why the others don't know? I said, I don't know. They don't read, I guess. But you happen to get the right ones this day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked him even further. I said, let me ask you this. What do y'all refer to us in the States as? Us, you know, melanated people, us black, you know, so-called black people. He said, oh, Moreno.
Yeah,
Morena. Yep. I said, so y'all don't call us Negroes? He said, no. Of course, because you go to any computer parts place and look on the box, you're going to see the word Negro being defined as an object.
Mm-hmm.
So he said the proper name was Moreno, Morena. Moreno for the males, Morena for the females. So-called black folks, we are Moreno, Moors. Moreno, we are Moors. That would be equivalent to the Moabite and Moabites, which is the Hebrew terminology. But we are Moors, which means those who sprung forth from the land, which is the same definition as indigenous, to spring forth from the land, and to have that encoded in your genealogy. You know, so I'm not going to go back on this rant, but we will go to the telephone line. Hold on, Doc. We want you to remain on because you might be adding to this discussion as you always do. Area code 816, you're on the line. Area code 816.
Yeah, this is Trina. I'm just listening. Oh, okay. In. I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to push one again. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right. I got it. All right, thank you. Let me go back to these phone lines. We got area code 904. Area code 904, you're on the line.
Peace, brothers. Peace, brothers and sisters. How y'all doing?
Peace. Well, God, how you doing? Peace.
Doc, you holding it down, man. That's heavy, bro. And that's really needed right now. You see what I'm saying? And
right.
Because we've been, from my experience, this prep us for all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? We seeing it on TV. You know what I'm saying? But this is all actually what we're capable of now. You understand what I'm saying? Well, we just in this little sleep stage and things of that nature. But see, the cosmic forces are aligning to where natural processes is going to be going on in the body organism itself because it's designed to interact with its environment despite the consciousness, you know what I'm saying, of the human.
Exactly.
You understand? Whatever set you claiming. Whatever set you claiming, your body is going to experience these things in a minute. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And an aspect of, like he said, he said, I came into God, I came into the Godhead, I through consciousness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Through that level, attaining that level of consciousness, and that's what the vulture and the divine vulture and the snake represent on the god Tutankhamun. You know what I'm saying? And then the gold represent. It wasn't just they was in the gold. No, that's what the melanin do. It go from natural to supernatural. The base metal copper and the melanin. You know what I'm saying? It turns to gold to the divine alchemy. You understand what I'm saying? And what the clinical, the aspect of the central nervous system, it matures.
Right.
Just like we go to the natural sexual aspect of us, we go from, we go through puberty. You understand what I'm saying? Now we can produce children, just fundamentally. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how we're designed. And then all of this history, bro, is just a manipulation and of that pure information to keep you enslaved. You know what I'm saying? They came down here, the gods came down here, and an aspect of us is we was created to as slave labor. So you understand, it's just the dynamic of all of this history, bro. You understand what I'm saying? But you got fundamental things that happen just through creation and laws, and you know how everything go. And then you got all the little sub-stories, categories, and everything, and you find out what life is about as you play through these roles. You feel me? And just where we at in the aspect of the movie, like I say, everything has been prepping us. You know what I'm saying? I grew up on X-Men, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know, I've been all my life. I've been saying we go get some superpowers or some shit. So you know, just the metaphysical, emotional energy, the essence of that. Just me, you growing up feeling that. That is, you can tap into that. It has essence, true. You know what I'm saying? When your supercomputer go out of hibernation into full, you know, active mode, you know, you going from 2-strand to 12-strand, 24-strand. You got all gig hard drive, super, what? Nigga, like you just said, liquid light. You said it a minute ago. That's an aspect of us, bro. We gotta if anybody up on their studies now, if anybody up on their studies, I do some real fundamental books for y'all. African Origins of Electromagnetism and African Origins of Biological Psychiatry. That's if y'all, you know, because I like the doc up here. I can sit up here and talk with the doc on this shit. You know what I'm saying? Without having to worry about people, what's this and that. You know what I'm saying? It's just maturity, brothers and sisters. It's maturity. And you know, I drop with this, and it's a concept of like it's all through the scriptures and everything. It's a principle. You know, as bad as it can get that flip side. It can get as much better. You know what I'm saying? And then, like you say, the super senses kick in, the ESP. You know what I'm saying? And we all interdimensional infinity. So what can't we do, brothers and sisters? What can't we do? And we could do it. We could do it on the phone. Y'all know this kind of stuff because I'm blacked out, bro. I got the headphones in. I'm blacked out. So y'all, y'all up in my head. This whole thing is going on in my head because I'm blacked out, and I took my sacrament. You feel me? So you know what I'm saying. I've been thinking this all night. But word up, bro. I appreciate the show, man. It's an outstanding show, Doc. You was dropping it, man, and I really appreciate all the callers and everything, man. It's a beautiful thing. Well, you was dropping it, brother, and I appreciate you calling in and giving those comments because, no doubt, we definitely got to get to that. You know, you got to it. You know, I appreciate that. Yeah, we the gods, man. We the gods, bro. And then brothers like us that's been in the conscious thing and whatever, because, you know, I grew up all through New York. I know all the names, okay? I'm all y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, and we just kind of represent the forefront of it. You know what I'm saying? That the head is forming and ready to be attached to the body. You know, the head of Christ coming to the body of the church, which is, you know, that's you on your individual level, you and your family, your community, your nation. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I dig, man, more as an identity. You got them 18 nationalities out the script, and I just say the script because that's just what the movie we in right now. You know, we're looking for the Christ to return and go and do the do. And the pen is mightier than the sword. But, you know, you got them hard-headed motherfuckers out there going to have to get that ass waxed. You know, I can't wait to turn motherfuckers into particles. You know what I'm saying? I'm slapping motherfuckers with my thought, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, people, that ain't no movie good without drama. That's just all it is to it. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate y'all, man. This Brother Neil, by the way, man. And you know what I'm saying? I call this whole concept of things, man. This is the upper room mentality. This is the upper room mentality. You know what I'm saying? We know up here. You know what I'm saying? And we the ones that gotta spit it to our brothers and sisters. You feel me? No doubt. That's what this is, man. It's the upper room mentality for me, man. Word up. Appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you, God.
Yes, sir.
Peace. All right. We got 10 seconds. I don't know if it's going to go off or what, but, you know, I appreciate each and every one for coming on, checking us out. Brother L, you got about 5 seconds. You got anything you want to say?
Yeah, brother, I didn't know Elvis Presley was Melanchon.
Yeah, he was Melanchon.
Tony Moore?
Yep, by Tony Moore.
Okay.
Yep, indeed.
All right. I said, let's do it again next Wednesday then.
All right. That's what we're going to be doing, y'all. We're going to be hitting y'all up once again. All right, next Wednesday, we will be here. All right, we love y'all. Peace, and we out.
Peace.
I don't need to be a dope boy, my poetry is dope enough. Trapping interstellar while my third eye open up. See through all the lies that y'all telling with a straight face. Return of the luminous ones. Y'all better make way to find a chapter. Find a collapse on all you politicians. They politicking how to lead a world, no pot to piss in. The way I think is more deep and in the Grand Canyon. I guarantee this black man would be the man standing. My premonition matched the Olmec calendar. It's always accurate like a lightweight challenger. For all you wicked riches and the Wizard of Oz, you and that man behind the curtain, yeah, y'all fixing to fall. Only a matter of time before shit hit the fan. Here's an idiot's guide for you on how to get a man. I don't need a bunch of homers to ride or die with me. I could call on Hey Roo to fly the skies with me. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back for ancient times to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to the birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back for ancient times to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to his birth. When I'm riding on the city streets, never really miss a beat. To the point of no return, unless I turn another cheek. Catch me on my daily box, smooth as I wanna be. Just being me, never chilling with the wannabes. God in the flesh, dated bad sister latches. Because my history is more than they can understand it. My melanated skin, star brush from the astro. I'm made of dark energy created from black holes. No thyself, the only one you can lean on. I got some scoopers that y'all can break y'all weed on. Our here's Martin Luther King and slave ships. But what about the underwater cities and spaceships? My mystical mind, we had the government covering. But if the Olmec temple fly away like a mothership, where African people wear the real Anunnaki, wearing feathers on their heads, just a few feet taller than me. Through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back for ancient times to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to the birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back for ancient times to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to his birth. Yo, don't look at me the same, I ain't nothing like I used to be. Upgraded daily through the lies and all the foolery. My dream became lucid, I travel back in time, collecting life data from my subconscious mind. That father let me know that anything is possible by pulling down the universe through my crown chakra. Manipulate the energy is all an illusion. Knowing who you are kills all the confusion. Why 85% judge off my appearance? I use alchemy to create the world potential.